recording. And Susan, how are you feeling tonight, and what do you expect to get out of tonight's call?
I'm feeling really good. I wasn't late. I have 3 different beverages here, so I'll be all tucked in. I am just looking forward to expanding perspective and being able to appreciate some of the integrity pieces for cosmic accounting, and definitely also love it when we get to application. And there could be no more important application right now than really pushing this line between utopia or oblivion. I think it's really, turning one way or turning the other. And I think we're at that cusp. Andre, how do you feel, and what would you like to get out of today?
I'm feeling awesome. It's a Sunday morning in Malaysia. Having a couple of great meetings with Anne last week, and I'm pumped to meet her again this week to do some great stuff. So I'm just very open to what I'm gonna get from this couple of hours. Yeah, thanks. So Manu, what are you feeling right now, and what would you like to achieve from the session?
Excited, I feel. Really, is at least one more dimension that has been added to this set. It is great to have you, Andre. And we've been doing stuff. And last week, we talked about cosmic accounting. And then there was something important, that was attitude. And there was a phrase that caught me. It was min-max farm fact. Remember that phrase? Min-max farm fact.
Yes, I do.
Minimum, maximum, I think, is family facts. And I'm really eager for us to go down that list of essential things with Bucky and land onto self-discipline. Because to me, is a big thing that you will be able, or each be able, to get a set of self-discipline that allows you to communicate better, to progress better, and to participate in the creation of a new something for the maximum of people. That's what I expect, no less than that from this call. John, how do you feel? What do you expect?
I'm feeling great. I've just been for a walk in the park. It was raining, but it stopped in time for me to get in a walk in the park, and grateful to be here this week. I'm just hoping that out of this I can learn something that'll increase the chances of utopia rather than oblivion. So who knows? It's a crazy world we're living in, and some of the events of the last week aren't inspiring. But anyway, so be it. So who hasn't gone?
Anne.
Anne. Hi, Anne. How are you? So how do you feel, and what do you hope to take out of today?
Thanks, John. I'm actually thrilled today because I got Andre to come on board, because very often I share about our group, right, and the meetings and the things that we discuss about. And most times people listen, and then it's like, okay, they don't know what to do with the information, right? So when I started sharing this with Andre, he was like, oh, right. Then and he got very excited and interested. So I asked him whether he would be interested in joining, and he said yes. But his interest is it's the sort of interest he's going to do something with the information. So I've known Andre for quite a number of years now, and he used to be, and I met him when he was with this college that was set up, a business school that was set up between our national bank, right? Our national bank and MIT.
MIT, yeah.
It was the Asia School of Business. So, and I met him there, and since we kept in touch. His son is studying in our school now, so even more able for us to get in touch all the time. Yeah. So anyway, I brought him in, and I was excited about that. And as usual, I hated missing last week's meet but there are too many things are going on in weekends. It's going to happen more regularly, which, okay, never mind. Right. So anyway, that's and what I hope to get out today is catch up on last week's discussions and to move forward with it. Yeah. Steve, how do you feel and what do you expect to take away today?
Well, I feel really good. I had a day, I have a rock and roll band. I had a rock and roll rehearsal today, went through some original tunes and some stuff. I've got a party I'm going to be playing for in the month here. And so it's cool to hatch out the old deal. I had a kind of a hit record back in 1966 with a group called the Toads. And my new drummer is all impressed with that song and he thinks it could be a hit today. So I don't know. So that's kind of fun, but nothing as cool as being on this call and being able to talk about, you know, how to make the universe a better place and what is the universe really. And so I'm looking forward to just expanding my vision and maybe pick up an awareness and a skill here or there as we talk. That's what I'm looking for today. And I'm really excited to see everybody here. Just to kind of get everybody oriented, what we're doing is we've started this book, Design Discipline, Oblivion or Utopia or Oblivion. And what we're doing is we're going through 14 dominant concepts. This min-max fan-max, which is, Manu mentioned it in his opening, the minimum and maximum family of prime variables. And he identifies these dominant concepts: universe, humanity, children, teleology, reform the environment, general system theory, industrialization, design science, world science industries, ephemeralization and invisible commonwealth, prime design initiative, self-discipline, comprehensive coordination, and world community and subcommunities. And we're going down this list. And right now, I think we're just finishing humanity is what I think we're finishing. And we're right here is where we're starting on page 20. And we're going to pursue down as we talk about different aspects of humanity. And Joe isn't here tonight, John, because Joe's been the guy. And he would be delighted to be here. Hopefully you're feeling up to reading tonight. Are you feeling up to reading?
Of course, yes, happy to read.
Wonderful. So we can start with that yellow marker and then we'll continue down.
All right. Are we not most intimate, i.e. closest with, those furthest away from us physically, ergo closet metaphysically? No rapport between individuals sardine packed in subways and buses. Intimacy of those writing to one another halfway around the world. This relative intimacy may be plotted in terms of time, history, and geography. All those who influence us daily by love, wisdom, conceptual stimulation, and understanding are most often relatively remote, both in time and space. Most of the time, the powerful influences are the immortal influences, i.e. most remote. Now, just before we go on and look at that, isn't it interesting, of course, the nature of our study group?
Yeah.
We are definitely distant geographically,
Right.
but connected by technology and what is in fact ephemeralization.
Right. And he mentions here time, history, geography, and here we are transcending all of that, aren't we?
And it's, I know when we were doing some of the Robert seminars, it was one of the things we took time to talk about the fact that it's so much easier to be intimate with if you don't have to go home and live your life with that person, when the stakes are lower. So if somebody comes on this group and they don't appreciate what it is we want to study or how we want to speak to each other, they can leave. You know, the stakes aren't that high. And yet if you're trying to have, you know, your sister become part of the group, the stakes are, you know, much, you still have a relationship that you need to maintain with that person. And that always does kind of factor in for me when we talk about intimacy.
Yeah. And I think when it says here closet, I think it really meant closest with, We are not most intimate, i.e. closest with those furthest away from us physically. And I think
Yeah.
again, ergo closest metaphysically with a
Yeah.
question mark. Interesting, huh?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a couple of misspelled words in this book, so that's troublesome for those who are reading it. So, and then here's the interesting last paragraph. Most of the time, the powerful influences are immortal influences, most remote. Isn't that interesting that he could say that? Because he said this in 1965, 69, it was when he wrote this book. And he's saying he didn't know about Zoom. He didn't know about us overcoming these time barriers. It's 5 o'clock in the morning for Manu. It's 9 o'clock for me, PM, the day before. So here we are overcoming these time barriers and geographic barriers. And then for him to say, most of the time, the powerful influences are the most immortal influences, most remote.
And that includes Bucky, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Any other thoughts or comments on that? Andre, don't feel bad about just piping off, because we're very interested in what thoughts come to your mind. And I think Julian has joined us as well, too. So glad to have you here with us, Julian. Okay, John, without any further comment.
Can I make a comment here? Just
Please.
a quick one. You know, the most remote, to me, resonate with the term stationary.
Yeah.
You see,
I knew.
okay, gravity is so remote, but influence us in a way that it appears the same all around us. It appears as a constant.
Yeah.
The field of gravity appears as a constant thus, but we know that it's flowing. So it is what you call in fluid mechanics, a stationary wave, a stationary flow. You understand what I'm trying to say? You know, a pattern that is there, that is like constant. It looks just uniform. It looks stationary. It looks like nothing is happening.
And
Well,
it's
there.
definitely immortal.
Yeah.
And yet it's one of the most powerful influences on us.
I knew would you also kind of speak about integrity the same way?
Did you talk to me, Susan?
Yeah, as you're speaking, it almost seems like integrity would be another example of something that's pervasive and yet it's constant. And so it would seem more stationary.
Would it also include spirituality then? Yeah. The relationship with God and Buddha and you know, most of the gods up there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm thinking of the cosmic hierarchy that we went through in synergetics, where synergy or cosmic integrity was the main element in the thing. Let me pull that up really quickly so that hopefully it's helpful to everybody. But let me see if we can go and pull this up over here. I have to grab some stuff around, and we got a cosmic. And here it is right here. On the list of hierarchies, cosmic integrity was his first one. Then synergy, then nature, then unknown, then universe, then metaphysical, then physical. So cosmic integrity was right up here. And I don't usually think of it as a force like gravity, but maybe it is.
Yeah. I love thinking about it as a force.
Yeah. Maybe there's something when I'm not integrous with my environment, my universe, my conscience says, do better. maybe that's like the gravity of integrity. Is that
Yes,
possible?
integrity holds us together, and therefore without integrity, we disintegrate.
Yes. Wow. Cool. Great idea, Susan. Okay, good. Any other comments or questions? And good, Manu, thank you for jumping in with the gravity thing. Okay.
Guys, I'm sorry, maybe it's because I got a little bit late today, but I don't get immortal yet. Why immortal is used also as most remote?
Comments, questions, comments on immortal influences. What might they be?
Influences that extend beyond life. So, for example, Buckminster Fuller is having an influence on us. He is no longer mortal. He is now immortal.
Yeah.
So his influence on us continues beyond his life and now can't be interrupted by his death.
And
We
going
can't
back,
go and talk to him. We can't go and talk to him, but we can use our best endeavors to assist each other to understand him.
true. And going back to
Most of the religions in the world have a quote holy book, and those are ancient pieces of wisdom that are respected, and people spend lifetimes trying to read into them and take things out of them and put them into application. And I'm sorry.
Good. And going back to Manu's point, gravity is certainly not mortal. And it does seem to be most remote, but yet is one of the powerful influences on our lives. And there's nothing mortal about gravity. There's nothing mortal about integrity, maybe. Thoughts, comments, questions?
Yeah, what I see right now after hearing all of you is that influences come in several ways. So any kind of influence that someone can have on me, that is something that we can talk about here.
Cool.
I think influence by its nature is very, very often metaphysical. And there's certainly physical influences, but those seem to be more time limited.
Yeah.
Say again, Susan.
It seems like physical influences are more time limited. Like I could influence you physically by not giving you the right food, or if you had a parent who was abusive, but over time, most people are able to move past those things, those physical influences. And I think the metaphysical influence, say, of a parent who is loving or abusive, either one, that influence would last beyond the bounds of time into your life.
To me, physical is always relatively local because it is something that is in relationship to our experiences, things that we can measure, that we can calibrate. That's the physical. Whereas the metaphysical is relation-wise, is way less.
What do you think, Manu, about gravity being something that can influence us different than time and space, like gravity being the thing that influence us no matter time, no matter space? Like, is that something that we can add here, maybe?
I think we should, I think we should not confuse the measure of gravity locally, that is gravity of and the principle of gravity. The principle of gravity is there, all over. But at a certain place, you have different intensity of gravities because the masses that are influencing each other are different.
I think we can have gravity of thought. Some thoughts, some emotions have a lot of gravity and can hold me back or maybe push me forward. So I think there's a physical aspect, but there's a metaphysical aspect as well.
Is emotion physical or metaphysical? Susan?
I'm going to claim it as both,
Me too.
because emotion, for us to be able to experience it, is propagated by literal molecules moving throughout our body. And
Yes.
yet I believe that it's also metaphysical at the same time. And yeah.
I think that's why we came to this planet, was to take all these ethereal ideas and be able to physicalize them, molecularize them, and have the molecular experience. Like, it's one thing to know the principles of riding a bike. It's another thing to ride the damn bike, right? Interesting. The gravity of riding a bike. I don't know. Anyway, we ready to continue?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
The human function in universe and its individual, fleetingly sensed responsibilities, heeded or unheeded by the individual, occur as the consequences of built-in driving forces, the metabolic, physical regeneration drives of hunger and procreation. The most prominent of the metaphysical regeneration drives are human curiosity and the drive to demonstrate competence, i.e. to employ the abilities to subjectively differentiate and thereafter to objectively integrate in preferred patterns or to organise events in such a manner as to obtain answers to the questions which curiosity asks. Metaphysical drives to understand and be understood.
Wow.
Sounds a lot to me like integrity. It sounds a lot to me like Susan's integrity conversation.
But first, I think you mean patterns there, not patterns.
Yeah.
You prefer patterns.
Preferred
But-
patterns, or to organize events in such a manner. Yeah, patterns.
But don't you see something that is very, very important in the things that we've been doing? Only the intellect can allow us to differentiate, that is to divide, and to reassemble, that is to integrate. Always locally. More and more outer from our local, but we can always do it from the inside.
Can we go back?
Does everybody see like me? Or is it different?
Anne, you were saying something.
Yeah, can we go back to the beginning of this paragraph? I
Yes.
just want to see how they link immortal influences to now. We're talking about metaphysical and physical regeneration drives. Sorry, Manu.
There we are back to the paragraph, and there do you see it. And Manu will pick your thought up in a second. Sorry, Manu. Anne, are you seeing what you were looking for?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
But it is actually there, you know, like from the human function in the universe.
Yeah.
That one, yeah.
Okay, cool. Now,
Because
Manu,
I think that what he's saying is that we come in with some kind of software already into us, the soft. And that soft is the most prominent of the metaphysical regeneration drives. That is not, the drive that is not, is a curiosity and the drive to demonstrate competency. And that it goes by employing the abilities to subjectively differentiate, that is divide, and thereafter to now objectively integrate, objectively. teleologically integrate, in prefer patterns, or to organize events in such a way, remember the word events, in such a manner as to obtain answers to the question which curiosity asks. We are born curious. We are created curious. And then we have this ability, and it say always, nature multiply by dividing. We start dividing first. That is, if I have this phone like that, I turn it like that. That is dividing. It doesn't mean to chop into two, no. Before I open it, I first observe, because I could only observe, I felt like I was only observing face here, but there is back. Sorry, it shows you face. You see what I mean?
I think so.
Okay. Or this book, this is the face of a book. I open it. This is dividing the book. Okay. It's only the mind that can direct the physical, the muscle to do it. I open the book. Now, when I open it, I could have turned it like, I could take a piece of paper like this and say, this is it. What is it made of? Maybe there are sheets. Right? I look into this, and now I have to scotch tape. I'm integrating to get back to what it was, understanding. Now I integrate. And we see that later, that the fact that I integrate together can never be like it was before. Can never be. There will always be a stitch. That is some more energy that I need, because it lost some energy in the integrity when I was dividing it, that I have to put it back to some semblance of what it was, the function that it had before. Have we got that clear from what I'm saying? Sheet of paper, I tear it. Right. I divide it. It allows me to see the part definitely. Now I can put it back into a pattern. Instead of having it like this, I can put it back like this. That is putting it back in a different pattern now. It was this pattern, I can put it back like this, but I need to scotch tape it. Right? Even to put him back to what was before, I need to scotch tape. And that scotch taping is another energy, another something that was lost that I have to bring back to put in order to have this whole. In mathematics, you always call in the integration, when you put the differentials together, there's always a constant. Always. A constant that is left. That explains the fact that putting back together, I cannot, the act of putting back together uses some more energy to do. I hope I wasn't too complicated into this.
Comments, questions? Okay. If you're ready, John.
The dual and regenerative human functioning as successive high-frequency subjective and objective, subconscious and conscious, which altogether provide angular range finding, and the teleologic irreversibility of human articulations are implemented exclusively by two principles with which humanity modifies his forward experiences in universe in preferred ways. The two physical principles by which alone man may alter his ever-evolving environment are those of angular and frequency modulations. Angular modulation, ruddering, is erroneously spoken of by man as spatial modification. Frequency of event modulation is erroneously spoken of by humanity as time modification. These capabilities of man's senses, brain, and mind provide the basis for his strategically selective differentiations of experience. the human's subjective experiences are teleologically and spontaneously transformed into objective alterations of the evolutionary environment to most effectively support man's unique brain and mind functioning in universe in the anti-entropic role. I think
Wow.
I need to do that again. Yeah.
Wow. What do you want to do on that, John?
I'm just trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, no kidding.
I was hoping as we went into the humanity part, right? And then to link it to the first one, what was the first one again? And then go backwards. I was hoping that it would give more clarity, but oh no, this is this is going into where was it again? Yeah, from universe to humanity, right? I was hoping that it would give more clarity, but this few couple of paragraphs is just very hard.
But
it's so hard to wrap our head around this.
Do you, can I come in here
Sure,
Please.
yes.
and just share two things? Again, I take, let me get something that is more colorful. This is my famous hat, right?
If you
And
guys
then
want,
it's like a sphere, yeah? You see it?
if
Yep,
you
yep.
guys, in the upper right-hand corner of Manu's picture, there are three, if you put your mouse over it, there are 3 pins. If you click on one of those pins, you can say add a pin. If you can click on that button, you'll say add a pin. And when you do that, it'll put him right up on top. And you'll see him as the only guy. You'll see him like a screen share guy. Hopefully that works with you. Everybody got it? So continue.
We got the attention. Okay. Now, this is me here. To see this thing, I have to turn it angularly, right? That's why you talk about the rudder. What does the rudder do on a boat? It turns the boat, right? Remember, I have a referential, I'm somewhere. I have to see it. It has to turn for me to see out and in of this thing, this object. Got me? That's the angular thing. It has to be spherically moving for me to see it. That is the one. The second thing that it is also important for me is to identify patterns. So by turning, each of the degrees of turn is something that is called time. Time is always a frequency. And those frequencies allow me to identify patterns. You see these pentagons, they are patterns on this thing. So my mind is turning these things, and the patterning, identification of patterning it is frequency modulation. Those are the two that allow me the duality of the brain and mind that allow me to operate always. I think it's the simplest information that is contained in this very complex paragraph. The duality of the brain-mind, we dividing, the rudder is turning it. So I have space-time and I have patterns. The patterns are stored in my brain and the mind retrieves them to something, to build something that is teleological, to teleologically build your environment. That's what they say, building the environment in such a way that is the best for humanity. That's
So
the
that
way
is
I would say. Yeah?
So that is the way our anti-entropic mind comes in. Okay, got it. Thank
Got it.
you.
Good. Any other comments or questions? Okay. I'm wondering if we want to reread that thing sentence at a time.
I think that's probably a good idea.
All
I
right.
think John can read it, maybe, before we continue.
Yeah, one sentence first, and then we'll pause.
Okay.
Here we got it.
Some of the sentences are fairly long.
Yes.
The dual and regenerative human functioning as successive high frequency, subjective and objective, subconscious and conscious, which altogether provide angular range finding and the teleologic irreversibility of human articulations, are implemented exclusively by two principles with which humanity modifies his forward experiences in universe in preferred ways.
Okay. Does everybody get what teleological irreversibility? Irreversibility. Does anybody do you guys know what that means?
No, I don't.
Okay. Teleological is based on the purpose of a thing. And I think that the angular range finding goes right back to what Manu was saying about being able to take something and put a different angle of perspective on it. Let's see if we can, I'm going to really quickly here jump out and grab Google. Geez, I'm going to have to click a couple buttons. I'm sorry, because I wasn't prepared for this. I think I actually have a definition already in tow, but it might be fun to grab a, this Google window is going to open up, and I'll say definition of teleology. We can go from there. Definition of teleology. And of course, because Zoom is running, everything else is running super slow. And I, of course, had to open up 16 windows in order to get there. Teleology. The explanation of phenomena in terms of the purpose they serve rather than the cause by which they arise. An explanation of phenomena in terms of the purpose they serve rather than the cause. So if we go back to his statement, the dual and regenerative human functioning as successive high frequency subjective and objective, or subconscious and conscious, which altogether provide angular range finding, turning a thing around to look at it from different perspective, and teleological irreversibility of human articulations. Anybody want to propose what he's saying right there?
Okay, let me jump again in. You look at the thing, you are what you call experimenting. Imagine a guy, a small boy or girl in his play park. He has different things, Lego or something. You putting them together, you're turning them until you get some understanding, some consciousness of it. Then you bank it. You are banking in your brain, and you are continuing because you are building on that. You are riding on the shoulders of some giant. It is true to you until proven untrue. You get me?
And what does that have to do with teleology?
Teleology is a meaning, because remember, we're born naked and we know nothing. We just have the operating system. Then we start moving in our environment. If the caveman, you got out of a cave to see what it is. You had a noise, you were inside, you hear you are born, you can hear, you are in the cave, you hear a roar, you first hide in the cave. And then maybe there's some daylight, there's some hole, you come out and you look out. It's a lion. It's something that is moving and making that noise. You keep hiding until you look out, you see that thing that was moving is no more there. Then you step out. And you step out, you realize that you are not eaten. So you can go and come back. And then realize next that that thing always roar at some time that is dark, that you can't see. You always hear the roar when it's dark. So teleology, in order for me to survive, I resolved that I will stay in the cave until it's daylight. Then I can venture out. You understand? So the knowledge that there is a lion out there, there's a danger for me out there at night, is booked in my brain, is banked. And I use that knowledge to progress what I was prodding for. Because now I can be out of a cave and experience further. That is, to me, the principle that is presenting there.
Comments or questions on that? I put a comment out there that said, if we take teleological irreversibility of human articulations, I think he's talking about curiosity. And if we take the word teleologic and we say it as purposeful, we could say the purposeful irreversibility of human articulations. In other words, I'm doing things because I'm curious and I'm on purpose, and that purpose is irreversible. That human beings, by their very nature, have this curiosity that has us engaged with our environment. So the first dominant principle is universe. The second dominant principle is humanity. So now here we are engaging with universe in a curious way. What do you think? Let's come back.
No, it is, I agree with you, Steve. Is the curious way is because our assumption is that we have a function in this universe.
By articulations, I'm gonna think that articulation, the first thing I think about is words that are spoken or words that are written, but articulation can also mean movement at a joint.
Yes. So like when Manu twisted that dome around, he was articulating the dome. And here we have a dual and regenerative human function. What is the dual and regenerative function? It's subconscious and conscious interaction. There's the duality. And the function is regenerative. It's also, by the way, anti-entropic, because as we learn in another, or we've already read, the very function of humanity is anti-entropic. We do things to stop entropy. That's what we do. We teach our kids in school because we don't want chaos, right? We build a building because we don't like the rain to fall on us all the time. That's anti-entropic. Eventually, that building will fall down. It's only temporary, but it's what we do. It's how we engage with our universe. Comments?
See, if you take teleologic irreversibility of human articulations,
Yeah.
it reminds me of Susan type 1 and type 2.
Aha.
You remember the type
Yeah.
1 and type 2
Evolution.
evolution?
Yeah. This is a principle Bucky talks about in synergetics, that there's two kinds of evolution, type 1 and type 2. Want to talk more about it, Manu?
Yes, I'm just saying that all our activities, whether we want or we don't, are actually in a way contributing to the teleologic irreversibility of our discovery of the cosmic reality, of our discovery of the increasing consciousness that we have in this universe. So we do things in tab 1, we are doing things for a fake, let's just call it a fake purpose. And we discover things that have a meaning, and we use them, we try to use them for something else.
Yeah. We do it in
type 2,
preferred
yeah.
way. Yeah, you do it your way, I do it my way.
Yeah. But you know, in tab 1, I will always try. We always, as potenti, try to capture the result of that and use it to kind of fortify our potentate. You know, our advantage. I'm talking about me thinking that it has so much significance for me of something, and subjugate others
Right. You have
to what
preference.
it is. Yeah.
So do we got that? Anybody have any questions, any part of this first sentence? Because I think we've been beating around that bush pretty well, right? This is how we move forward in time with our experience. We do it in preferred ways because we have a purpose, an individual purpose, and we articulate certain ways consciously and subconsciously. And that's how we view the universe. Got it? Everybody agreed? Ready for the next sentence? John, you want to go for the next sentence?
Yes, I will.
Starts with.
Is that it? The two physical principles? Yes, okay.
Yeah.
The two physical principles by which alone man may alter his ever-evolving environment are those of angular and frequency modulations.
Right on.
Angular modulation, ruddering, is erroneously spoken of by man as spatial modification. Frequency of event modulation is erroneously spoken of by humanity as time modification. Shall we stop there?
We could. What do you guys think? He's just making an opinion statement there, right? He doesn't tell us what they really are, but he tells us how we look at them. Right?
He tells us we're wrong. He tells us we're wrong.
That's exactly right. Okay. Any comments or questions there? Shall we proceed and finish off the paragraph here?
Okay.
Yeah.
These capabilities of man's senses, brain, and mind provide the basis for his strategically selective differentiations of experience.
Perfect, right, guys?
Humans' subjective experiences are teleologically and spontaneously transformed into objectively alterations of the evolutionary environment to most effectively support man's unique brain and mind functioning in universe in the anti-entropic role.
Cool.
And Andre's question there about change being the simplest way to talk about entropy, I think you're right, Andre, but what I'll add is that entropy has a direction. It's a vector force, so it's moving into more possibility, less organization. And we've spent a whole lot of time working through the Buckminster Fuller stuff to try and understand what it is that we as humanity, as a species, what it is we're trying to do here in this space. And it seems like we use much of our energy to actually have a vector, a direction of trying to bring things more into organization. And that organization that we try to impose or to hold is governed by the interaction between our brain and our mind and our senses. So I think your entropy is change, absolutely. It just has a direction.
Right.
Yeah.
It tends towards chaos.
Or
I
more.
think, yeah, well, I think this is truly amazing and absolutely deep. And what I try to gather on is simplifying in essence what the level of words and where each one is looking and interpreting things, and gathering my thought process in a way to simplify it so that I can actually understand what I've gathered from the different paragraphs, right? Talking about immortal influence, where I think is the most remote. It kind of take me to a perspective that curiosity or open-mindedness for humans is one of the vital assets of humanity, where we are influenced through basically space and time. Like you talk about frequency and angulars. I'm looking at space and time, where some of us can understand something straight on in this space, whereas some of us may have to take 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years down the road to actually get the exact moment. Similarly to an incident with me and Blair Singer that I mentioned to Anne, it took me a couple of months to actually understand the question that Blair have asked me during that session. And I think when we were reading that book about influence through physical and metaphysical, that sort of, correct me if I'm wrong, kind of jive in that when we have curiosity and open-mindedness, the understanding of things for us can come during that particular moment, or it can come after that, right? Because I like what Stephen was talking about, where if we look at teleology as teleology as purposeful, and irreversibility of human articulation is curious, it means it sort of jive in that, purpose and understanding for us can mean multiple dimension and perspective, where when we look at the same thing, we all may see the same thing, but we all may have 6 different types of interpretation to it. And through space and time, we gather our thoughts, and through our own open-mindedness, we define what that purpose or what that meaning is through that. If that makes sense, right? I'm still gathering my thoughts and trying to kind of dissect it while you guys are talking about. Yeah, but this is truly awesome.
Andre,
Yes.
let me take you there if I might.
Yeah.
And try to go slow to see if maybe we understand him. Just imagine the world, right? We are 7 on this call, and something is dangled. I dangle something here in front of you, like this, right? Susan is going to see a certain angle of it. I myself I'm seeing something, Anne is seeing something. I'm sure that as we hear now, I'm seeing the back of it, and all of you are seeing at a certain angle the inside. Is it what you are seeing? But I'm not seeing that inside. I am seeing this side. All right. Now, if we are a set and we didn't have any mean to accelerate whatever that rotation quickly, we wait until Andre, you report what you saw, John reports, Julian report, Anne report, Steve report, Susan report, I report, and we put together all of that to understand what this was. Because Anne will bring a report, everybody will bring, and then we sit down, we try to get, maybe we have to fly to KL, meet together and put this thing together. Okay? So that was the partial views of it. Now, if we had if you have something that allows us to flip it completely, quickly, like this, each of us will have the view of, and we're going to have uniformity of what this means that quickly, right? So you always have the duality of angular specialty, and then frequency, allowing us to see the stuff completely. And that's where we are. It is the faster we can do this, the quicker we can all discover what this is actually. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I got.
We can be individual the way we want, and we can be as open-minded as we are. If there's no technology to link us quickly, yes, we have to wait for the slow experience, right? And that slow, what you call time here, is very subjective. It is a frequency. That slow experience come back to me, for me, it come back enough of time for me to make an idea of what it is. Assuming that I'm patient enough to wait for that time. Otherwise, I'll move on. I wouldn't understand it, I'll move on into something else. But with technology, we do that fast. We ephemeralize it, and it can be understood and used the quicker. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So there's always that duality that's coming up. Dividing faster, and turning it quicker for us to identify the modulation and what it means the fastest that we can. It's teleological. It is. That's why you say the universe is accelerating. Acceleration of acceleration.
And so, Andre, you have a thought, and Anne, you have a thought. So whoever's first, go ahead.
Yeah.
And you want to go?
Yes, let me try this, because what I see from thank you from Manu's explanation, this is where it ties in that we have to see 2 cycles for the 720 degrees. Remember, we're talking about that, the orbit. So because we see it twice, then only we can see the that's where the anti-entropic comes in. Now we have an actual structure. Remember, we're looking at walking along that spiral. If you only walk on one, then you only see that it is flat. But if you go 2 cycles, remember, and then you can actually see that it is that you go, okay, oh yes, now I remember, we look at the world, right? You go 1 round, you see one aspect of it, but you go the other round, then you see the full circle. Remember, we're talking about that. So what when Manu talked about turning it around twice, then suddenly we see it once, but then we see it a second time, then the structure becomes like we can see it solidly in our head, So does that tie in with this?
Yes.
On the angular thingy and
Yeah, while you were talking, it comes to me also, and that we see things, and the minimum thing is a tetrahedron, right? In order to define a tetrahedron, you need to go 720 degrees. And if you only see, let's just say, you only see 30 degrees at a time in one view. One shot is 30 degrees. And you call that an hour or a time or a unit of time. So how many times 30 does it take to make 720? It takes probably
4 times.
20.
I can't say, yeah, but it is, you understand what I'm trying to say. If you can only see 20 at a time in unit of time, there's going to be more time that it takes for you to see. If it's going to be more time than if you could see 60 at a time, or if you could see 80 at a time, or if you could see 90 at a time. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. So this way, when you turn it around, we saw the 360, and then when you turn it twice, then the structure became solid.
But you need at least to describe, to turn your thing 720 degrees to discover what it is. That is one physical cycle. That's what I was going to say. a physical cycle. And remember that we saw with a sphere, you need to turn the sphere like this. That's 360 degrees from here to there and to there, 360 degrees, and then 360 degrees. Then
Guess it
I
could be
discover what this thing is. You see, Andre?
Yeah.
Hello, Andre. Look at this,
Yeah.
this object. In order for me to discover it completely, I need to do this. How many degrees have I turned? 360 on a 2-dimension like this, right? I've gone completely like this.
Mm.
And then, but still, I haven't seen what is inside. For me to see what is inside, I have to do this and that, right? Now I've fully described this thing. I fully engraved all of those parts that I saw in my bank brain. Therefore, I can reproduce it anytime. I've defined this structure, 720 degrees. And that is, by the definition of Bucky, what a tetrahedron is, the structure, the minimum structure. It might be confusing, but that's what Anne was trying to say there. You see that?
This is Dirac's principle here of his 720 degrees of the spin of an electron. And so it's 360 degrees over the top and 360 degrees around the bottom. So this explains the 720 in terms of Dirac's belt trick. And this also is represented in the Philippine wine dance, that 370 degrees over and under. And so, and Manu has given an example of it by turning the thing this way and turning it that way. Manu gave an example of it, but I can, there's a really great audio that goes through and explains the 720 degrees. But I think that Manu has explained when he says here, angular modification, ruddering, is erroneously spoken of by man as spatial modification. So it's not like you're moving it in space, it's already spinning. And we just view it from a different angle, I think. And the same thing with frequency modulation, we construe it as time modulation or time modification, but it's spinning anyway. It's just when we happen to get that 30-degree picture of it. Our brain takes a picture 80 milliseconds when our eyeball sees something. 80 milliseconds, and we take that picture and the brain says, oh, that's what an elephant is. No, we got to watch it a little bit more to see what an elephant really is. There's some ideas there. So Andre, where are you in all this conversation at this point? And Julian,
So
go ahead, Andre.
So I get the 360 degrees, 720 degrees type of articulation and looking at things from multiple perspectives. However, I may sidetrack, but the teachings of Kiyosaki came, there's 3 sides to a coin, right? There's the top, the bottom, and the sides. As much what Manu make and 20 degrees to understand the whole picture, curiosity and experience comes to mind as well, because if 7 of us look at it from 720 degrees, I believe some of us will look at it from different perspective of what that is. And if you look at the article, the book, the last 2 sentences talks about the human senses, brain, and minds as well. So because we interpret things differently from different angular or even different frequency, i.e. time and space, these capabilities of man's senses, brain, and mind provide the basis for a strategically selective differentiation of experience. The human subjective experience are theologically and spontaneously transformed into objectively alterations of the evolutionary environment to most effectively support man's unique brain and mind functioning in universe in the entropic role. It just gives me a sense that as much, even though we understand the whole picture from 720 degrees, maybe Bucky is mentioning that because we have curiosity and open-mindedness, and we have influence from physical and metaphysical aspects through time and space, i.e. through our experience over our journey, our interpretation of whatever it is in front of us can be defined differently based on our own experience, right? Because I'm so new, so I'm trying to look at those deep words. I'm actually Googling the words, and I'm putting myself into a rabbit hole, a deeper rabbit hole, because I don't understand what I'm actually Googling. But when I take myself out and just explore, like the train process that I have is, how can I actually define it to a 5-year-old? And that's how I'm trying to articulate what Manu was talking about, what Susan was talking about, and all the deep the deep words that I'm trying to get kind of meaning or simplified meaning. That's why I think when Stephen was talking about entropy or entropy, it feels like the definition of anti is kind of like looking at entropy as the simplest form of change, and how we actually define it through creativity, through curiosity, and through time and space. If if I'm rambling, makes a bit of sense right now.
Well, I'll tell you what,
Andre,
Andre,
let me.
if
yes,
this is
Steve.
fun for you, Andre, you've joined the right club, because that's exactly what we go through every week. Every week we're doing the same thing.
Andre,
This
let
is
me just
deep.
come in here quickly and just fix you on something. You spoke about Kiyosaki's coin thing, you know, face, tail, and edge, right? You always repeat that. But look at what I put on the chat in the chat box. Can you see that?
Yes.
Does it, you know, if you take a kid, you can take a coin and show the kid the face, the tail, and the edge. He will understand.
Do you see
In
the
elementary school also, or a little further than that, you can understand that this face is 180 degrees. You can also understand that the tail is 180 degrees. And you can understand that the edge is 360 degrees, is one round, is a circle. So what is the sum of 180 times 2 plus 360? What is it?
720.
You understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's all it meant here. This is a structure. And to describe it, you have face, tail, edge. And you've seen that it's 720 degrees. It is a tetrahedron at minimum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don?
No, I got that. That's why when you were explaining 720 degrees, 3 sides to a coin by Kiyosaki comes into picture, because a lot of us are looking at it from either one side, or even though if we have the opportunity to see both sides, many of us may not see on the edge to actually weigh both sides, because as human beings, we have experience and we have a level of curiosity, but not everyone will be, for lack of a better word, balanced to actually weigh the pros and cons and then come up with an idea or a feedback that looks at both sides. Because even myself, I'll probably shift to one side depending on what hats or roles that I'm actually looking at, or which angle I'm looking at. But that's where I was actually understanding the 2 paragraphs that we're actually looking at from Bucky's. I believe that's Bucky's book, right? Utopia and Oblivion, the design discipline.
That's
right?
it.
Yeah. But yeah, the words that Bucky is using to me is very deep.
Yeah.
And I had to and I think this group is amazing because you are dissecting the words from multiple angles, and I'm looking at the interpretation of that book and the meaning that that book is giving you, and I'm actually kind of simplified it in a sense that I can actually understand. Yeah, so that's where I'm going. Yeah.
So Julian, how about you? Where are you on this?
No, first of all, thank you, Andre, for sharing with us your thoughts, because having someone new to provide his insights, a different perspective, that's really valuable to this group. While you were talking, I was taking a second look to the text. Can you put it a short time again, please, Steve?
Yes, please. Happy to do that.
And there was in the beginning of the paragraph, it says a successive high frequency, and without Manu's explanation about this thing turning fast, I wouldn't get how that high frequency term relates to the rest of the Bucky's idea in that sentence. And then I was thinking, oh my God, it is possible that many times we are in the situation that Mani described as we have something that we are looking into. So I don't know, the geodesic dome that he was showing us, that's something that we already know, that we're familiar. So we're not struggling to describe it or to define it. But if I show you right now, like something that none of you have ever seen, I can show you one of the things, and let's suppose that you, I don't know, I have something here really weird that this is something that you have never seen. All right, so I'm going to show you that, and Steve, Manny, like everyone is going to try to describe it. But let's suppose that you're not able, we are not able to turn this around. Like it's not possible. I don't know, it's attached to gravity. It's something that we possibly cannot turn. And I'm the only one who can see this face. And if we all together try to describe this object, like I'm going to be in disadvantage, because 6 people is going to tell me, okay, this is how it looks, but I'm the only one who's going to be able to describe it from this side. And now that we are having the same situation, for example, with the subconscious and the consciousness. And so Andre was telling us like, hey, there's this curiosity of the mind, like this natural curiosity of the mind. And there's many times where we are in a subjective position. So when I close my eyes, only I can see, I can perceive what is in my mind. So I'm the only one seeing this side. And I'm trying to use words, to use emotions, to use colors, to use senses, to use anything that I can have in my, to my reach, to describe this side. And the high frequency that Bucky is saying, like conscious to subconscious, conscious to subconscious. I was reading a book recently about Silva's method. I don't know if you have heard that. And it's crazy. That book has been in the shelf of my family like for years, and only now I'm like, that's actually a good book. Let's try to give it a second chance. And he says about the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere, and how to keep that balance. So reading Bucky's words, relating this on high frequency and turning this around is like, it's similar also to micro to macro, what Manu has also repeated several times. Like this high frequency is the one thing that allows us to describe like the unit, like the like the thing, like if we want to understand it, I think that's the way. It's difficult because we actually cannot turn this thing. This time I can show you this. Okay, now you can see it. And now you can,
Yeah.
but in our mind, that's not physical possible. So
I thought you were cheese until you turn it, it becomes a plug. Hey, that's it. And what you are saying is so profound.
Yes.
Yeah.
For as long as we haven't seen the other side, you, Julian, you have a theory. You see? That's why they say Einstein theory of relativity. He saw it and he formulated it. And we are all participants in this course. We are members of humanity. This is humanities at all. It waited until there was an eclipse and somebody could measure visibly something that it becomes a fact. It becomes something that we agree to all. It becomes part of truth. And it's not because we are in an evolutionary voyage. It is not final. Maybe there's always a opportunity, the possibility that it might be disproved. But that's what we accept as members of this universe. Right? And that was, to me, was a very good example. To me, truthfully, when you show that thing, what was coming to my mind was cheese. You know, there's this cheese that come wrapped in red with inside white. That was the picture. That was my experience of it. Until you turn it. And I saw, oh, there was a lead and a plug onto it. Ah, this is electrical now. You see how far the two are? Incredible. Yep. And every day, our children, they go to school and they come back home with different perceptions, different experiences, right? And we measure them just by one stick and say, and box them into something and say, that is where you belong, that's your value.
You
that happened to 99% of children of humanity, yes. They are boxed because the stick yard that was used to measure whatever they are was the wrong one.
Yeah. You guys, I think we can actually finish this section on humanity. If you guys are ready, the last two paragraphs seem fairly easy. I hope I'm not speaking out of school, but if we're ready, let's finish off humanity. And then we can, if humanity can be finished off, let's finish it off. So if you want to go for it, John.
It is the intent of my concept 2.
By the way, let me interrupt you guys. Concept 2 is the word humanity. Okay, that is concept 2. So go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
It is the intent of my concept 2 to bring about most effective employment of those built-in drives of individuals in such a manner as to bring about the physical success and happiness of all humanity in the shortest time with the least effort. It is my intent to employ the built-in capabilities to accomplish all the foregoing without ever advantaging one by deprivation of another. It is the purpose of my concept 2 to so design or control the angles and frequencies of the evolving environment events that the spontaneous reflexing of society will result in all men enjoying all of Earth and the progressive reaches of the universe about it without mutual interference with one another's degrees of subjective and objective freedom. Wow, that's an amazing concept in our current world when you think about what's happening at the moment.
Yes. Comments or questions on that?
As all of you were speaking about the paragraph before, what really kept shining through for me was what Bucky calls our special case experience. And that really, as what my contribution to the evolution going on here is my special case experience, is my quote lived experience. I guess that's one of the words that's getting play right now in the culture. Julian, because each of us can see from a different perspective, and only I can see what's inside my mind, just like only you can see what's in your mind. We have something unique to offer. And what I think I love about Bucky's last two paragraphs are that we have this option of trying to maximize the living ring for each member of the human race. When we decide on actions that disadvantage segments of our population, we will lose the richness that each one of those individuals could offer. And it's amazing that we would potentially do without all that wealth, because it is the wealth that could drive our evolution as a species, and hopefully our addition to the biosphere.
Cool. Comments and questions?
Steve, could you put back the page back up again?
Sure.
Because I need to kind of take down the two drives, the built-in drives.
I can actually, is that in paragraph? Is it this second paragraph here?
No, it's yeah, that's fine. I just want to go back up a little bit to just take note of the two drives, because now it all makes sense. The
I don't
two
know.
drives,
I don't know
That
where the
number.
two drives are.
just one paragraph up, just want the next paragraph up. Yeah. I
Okay.
think it's before the frequency of event, just that same paragraph, but just further up there.
Yeah, there you
Let
go.
me scroll down a little bit. Scroll down. Ah, yeah, thank you. Two physical principles. Give me a minute. Let me just snapshot it, and I can take my time.
Okay.
I'm finding amazing that he's describing like what he sees, the possibility of this happy ending, you know, like of this ideal happy ending. And what Susan was saying about having this big brain as a humanity is really interesting, because the most that we can understand ourselves as humans, as diverse humans, as multicultural humans, it is like we can get closer to this happiness ideal that Bucky is explaining in that last two paragraphs. And it comes to my mind also that we are able to get that with our capacities. Like we can't look forward, like we can have this influence in our environment, in the angles, the frequencies. So it is actually beautiful in that there's hope that, you know, like here is how we can connect that sense of hope in something more than a simple dream. It is more something like, if all of this has sense to you guys, let's do it, you know.
Yeah.
Cool.
There is, oh, yeah, and go on.
Yes, it's okay. I'm gonna have to leave now, so I'm gonna say bye-bye.
Well,
Yeah,
why
that's
don't you
great.
give us
Excellent.
give us your takeaway if you have time. Do you have time to give us your takeaway and then pass it on?
Yeah, sure. Okay, yes, my biggest takeaway, actually, I'm so glad I managed to finish the last two paragraphs, because his intention of that explanation makes all the sense in the world, all right? And it fits into ephemeralization, it fits in, oh my God, okay. So yes, that's my biggest takeaway. Let me see. Yes, Manu, how do you feel and what is your takeaway?
Thank you, Anne.
Yes. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
I feel privileged that you are here. All right. I
Bye.
really feel privileged. Andre, thank you for contributing and exchanging. Really was very, very appreciated by me, and I think by everybody else on this call. One thing that is important here, and that is at the end of this, Bucky says angular modulation and frequency modulation are the two principles by which man can alter his ever-evolving environment. In actual fact, if we choose not to do anything, the environment is always going to evolve, right? With or without us. Let's just make it clear where we are. There is evolution, whether we choose to be part of it or to be passive or whatever. But there are two principles that we can use. Angular modulation, frequency modulation, to alter our environment to the advantage of all humanity. And that was no more, no less. Bucky's goal is to do what can man do, one man do, that will benefit the whole humanity. It is humongous, it's huge, right? And that is what we buy into. So it is with humility and also appreciation that I think that together and contributing and using, leveraging technology and being determined to pursue this enterprise and this trip of ours, that we can create those conditions. And that, I thank you all. That's what I take away mostly, is that we can. We can. So, Andre, how do you feel? What do you take away?
I'm glad I don't feel as lost as I did 5 minutes into the call. I feel absolutely blessed and grateful. I feel awesome because as deep as what Bucky was sharing, I like that the group was taking it onto a different, more understandable level, where everyone, Julian, and Stephen, Susan, Manu, and John contributed. When I take it into the understanding of the paragraphs and linking the whole thing, it feels like Bucky is asking us to stay curious, stay open-minded, keep growing and keep learning, because at the end of the day, given space and time, i.e. experience, context, and the journey of learning, we provide meaning based on our perspective. Because at the end of the day, like what Julian's little example, nothing has meaning except for the meaning we gave, right? Because through our interpretation, we let that object that Julian has shared, we give it meaning. Whether it is the actual one or not, it doesn't really matter, because we interpret it through our angles, right? And but if we keep growing through space and time, through experiences, and stay curious, we will gain the happiness or the drive at the end of the day. So that's how I'm looking at. Yep, tinkering. Yep. So that's my takeaway, and I truly appreciate this. Julian, how do you feel, and what's your takeaway of this session?
Thank you, Andre. Thank you a lot for sharing this with us. I'm feeling excited right now. I'm feeling also hopeful because actually, Andre, congrats to take this on the first call, because I actually did take several calls until I got to grasp some ideas and some concrete aportes, to provide something also into the group. So congrats by doing this in your first call. My takeaway here is that there are many things that we can see, that we know, that we can see, and there are so many things that we still believe because someone else has seen it in that way. And you know, like, if I don't believe in the news, then I will go out in the middle of a COVID pandemic and I will get sick if I don't believe in that point of view. So there's many things that it can make an impact. So my biggest takeaway is how everything starts to relate to us, like this piece of text that we were able to read today. I think for everyone was connected to ourselves in many ways. And I wanted to share a couple of more ways that I am relating this. One is this new concept that I heard today, that is Wu Wei. And it explains something that I think here's like complementing this, that is forcing things, like when I want to go against the nature, sometimes that's not a smart way to do something, because I'm going to be fighting against something that I cannot change, that is the nature. But what can I do? Then I should do nothing. And this way is like, no, maybe you can do this effort in a smart way. You can not let everything as it is, but you can influence what is happening in the world because of this. So one more thing is that the thing that we were doing to describe the object is also something that I found really powerful to me, to my learning process, and is cross-reference. Using cross-reference, like if I am able to see something from different sources, from different people, so if I find many people, many sources talking about the same thing, that becomes something that I trust more. And I think that's because I have different perspectives, and now that we're talking about this, it all starts to make more sense. So my takeaway here is that everything that we are extracting now, that we are getting influenced by Bucky's immortal influence, is going to be us, the ones who can decide what to do with this knowledge, how to apply it in our lives, and how to actually get to that ideal world that Bucky was describing at the end. That's what I take away. So, Manu, how do you
But
feel?
been Susan or John?
You already, yeah, you already gone. So, John, how do you feel, and what do you take away?
Grateful to be able to be part of today's session, and just reminded by the last two paragraphs of how disconnected a large part of the world is at the moment from our purpose, why we are here, how we're intended to live, and of the importance of us working together as articulated by Bucky, so that we can do more with less, so that we can help all of humanity without disadvantage to anyone else. It's the, I think it was Eckhart Tolle who was interviewed on the day of the attack on the Twin Towers, and they asked him, was the world becoming a better place or a much worse place? And he said, both. The extremes are increasing. So I'm just hopeful that despite the apparent significant disconnection of a large part of the world from our purpose, we're actually going to achieve utopia and not the alternative. So yes, a lot of food for thought in that. So, Susan, you haven't gone yet?
So
Susan?
I'm grateful to be with you all today, and I'm very grateful that Andre was willing to jump in. Some of us have been working in the Bucky sphere for more than 10 years. So day one is always going to be just, it's a lot. I'll tell you what, I kept hearing the word curiosity come up. And I think curiosity is a tremendous weapon that we have to fight against the powers that would like to divide us. Nothing breaks down barriers more than being open-minded enough to want to understand things from another perspective. Even if you don't change your mind about what you think, being able to see it from a different perspective can help unite us. It's funny that one of the forces that has come across for me, just kind of doodling through the internet lately, has been Russell Brand, who is, this silly comedian, and yet whenever I see his face now, what I think of is the radical center. It's like, we are the many, they are the few. Right now, the things that are driving division are a very, very small subset, far less than 1% of humanity is trying to concentrate the abundance. And the abundance really belongs to the whole planet. And in the end, Bucky said, we either all make it or we all don't on this spaceship, planet Earth. And so finding more ways to kind of, I wouldn't say push back, but to just be curious in the face of forces that would divide us. Steve, how do you feel and what are you taking away?
I'm so excited that everybody jumped in. Julian, I'm always grateful for your comments and questions. Manu, Andre, Susan, everybody's perspective. John, you for reading and being patient with me as we plop through this. I'm so excited that you guys like to see this broken down, because it's just easy to read Bucky and say, well, that was weird, and then keep going to the next sentence, And I love to go back and see, now, what did he actually say? And I think in that big, long paragraph, he actually said the same thing about 3 times, just used different words to say the same thing. But that's what I put together. I'm grateful for everybody's energy and willingness to go for it. On Wednesday, I'll send out the next invitation. Andre, you'll be on that. There will be a recording of this call. There will also be a copy of the book in there. You probably already pulled it off the PDF, but I'll send it out to you right away. Andre, I'm going to make a note to do that right now. But I send out a copy of the book every week in that email, along with the YouTube for this week, and then the invitation for next week. And that goes out every Wednesday. Okay. And you can either accept or decline. I'm glad you made it. I'm glad that Anne invited you. So welcome. Come back again. Okay, everybody. I'm complete.
Epiphany.
Okay.
Anti-entropy as curiosity are innate to us.
Yeah.
We are born, I think that's what you say. The putting together,
Yeah.
the trying to put together things to
Yeah.
understand is
Yeah.
innate.
When I was a kid and I went to the beach, I built a house out of the sand.
Hmm.
I was trying to build a freaking house out of the sand, and a wave came and washed it over, and I built it again. Anti-entropy right there. All right, everybody. See you soon.
Okay, cool.
Bye-bye.
Excellent.
Yeah. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye, Julian. Bye-bye,
All right,
Mark.
guys, that was cool. That was
All right.
very interesting.